Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's edition of the CrossFit Games Update Show. I'm Sean Woodland with Pat Sherwood, and we are joined by the woman who finished second in the South Regional, making her third trip to the CrossFit Games, Margaux Alvarez. Thank you so much for joining us. We're talking about the California Regional, and once again, we have a regional that is stacked from top to bottom in every division.
I'm going to say the same thing I said last week, and it's true. I'm more excited about the women's competition than the men's competition this weekend, and I really feel in California, there's like 8 women that I feel should go, but only 5, there's only 5 spots.
And you know this region very well,
Yes.
and Pat mentioned that this women's division is going to be extremely competitive.
Yeah, I mean, you have two regions combined together, and it's going to be very challenging, but there's going to be athletes that can rise that challenge, and it'll be amazing to watch.
We've ranked the athletes coming in. We're going to start with the women's division based on their open finishes. And at the top, it's Lauren Fisher. We'll get to her in a second. Behind her, Kirsten Pedra, and then Lindsey Valenzuela, and then a pair of Norcal athletes rounding out the top 5 seeds, Brooke Entz and China Cho. Lauren Fisher actually hurt her ankle about a week ago while she was practicing for the regionals. It looked pretty bad at the time, but now she says she expects to be ready to go when competition starts on Friday.
So it's been almost 2 weeks this Friday. I was testing out Tommy V. And coming down on the second to last rope climb, I had just jumped down under the mark where we're supposed to, and I landed on a little bit of rope that lays on the ground, and my right ankle twisted really badly. I've never been in so much pain before. I was crying, and I thought my season was gonna be over. And right now, I'm feeling like I'm ready to compete at regionals, and I'm almost back to my old self.
Margaux, you competed in the South Regional with some busted up ribs, so you know what it's like to compete in these 7 events with an injury. How difficult is this going to be for Lauren to get through?
So leading into 2014 CrossFit Games, I had a broken rib. Overhead movements were limited. Being inverted was limited because of that injury, and it was very frustrating to be able to not be able to do movements or not complete things because of that injury. For Lauren, in terms of her injury, I don't know the full extent of it, but I mean, I know she's a fighter, and I know she's going to go out there and give it her best. It'll just come down to pretty much how much weight she can bear on her foot and what movement she can do or cannot do because of that.
Pat, even with a banged up Lauren Fisher, this is still a loaded regional with a lot of veterans who are looking to get back to Carson.
To say the least, and we'll kind of chat about 3 of them right now, starting with someone that I have a history of just keeping my eye on very diligently, and that is Valerie Vogel. 5 times Games athlete, 4 times she's been in the top 5. She stood on the podium twice, yet somehow I always neglect to give her the credit that she deserves. Then we have Lindsey Valenzuela. She's been to the Games 3 times. She missed it last year, taking 4th at regionals. I think that's only going to fuel her fire to make it back this season. And then lastly, Becca Voigt, 7 times Games athlete. Only 3 people have done that. Her best finish was in 2011, where she took 3rd place, and she just opened up an affiliate this year, CrossFit Training Yard, so she's got a lot on her plate.
Let's talk NorCal for a second. Margaux, you're very, very familiar with a couple of women here, Brooke Entz and Kirsten Pedra. Can they be competitive in this field?
Yes, I see both of them on that podium. I got to spend some time with Brooke last year training for regionals 2014, getting to spend a little bit of time going through the workouts. Amazing competitor, a really good friend of mine. Spent some time in and outside the gym, so it was really nice to be able to do that. In addition, Kirsten Pedra, I spent some time this year with her training leading up to the 2015 regionals. She actually came out to El Paso and trained with me, so we had to go through some of the variations of the workouts. Again, both amazing competitors, both have a lot of skill sets, very strong, with them both finishing in that 1st and 2nd seed.
Yeah.
I mean, I see them on that podium and finishing on that top 5 spot.
Speaking of top 5 spots, I like to put Pat in this terrible position every week to make his top 5 predictions. Who on the women's side is going to the CrossFit Games?
This was the worst one yet.
I know.
By
I
far,
really feel bad for you on this one.
I'll give the address later so you can send hate mail to me. Here's my top 5. In 5th, Brooke Entz. She's got the physical tools. If she can keep her head in the right place, she can go to the Games this year. Then in 4th, Lindsey Valenzuela. Now, last year, Lindsey did not make it to the Games. I think that, once again, she's one of the most passionate, fired-up athletes that ever competes. I think that's going to play to her advantage this year. 3rd, Kirsten Pedra. 1st in the NorCal region. She was 19th worldwide, and after taking 12th at regionals last year, I think this is going to be her time to break out and make it to Carson. In second, Lauren Fisher, broken foot, sprained foot, doesn't matter. Briggs took second with a broken foot, so that's how it works. And first, Valerie Vogel, 5 times Games athlete. She's someone to watch. She won regionals last year in 2014, and she never usually dominates any one particular event, but through incredible consistency, you look at her at the end, and there she is at the top of the leaderboard. So I think it's going to happen again.
And she has the habit of sneaking up on us.
Oh,
and
my
when
God.
we were putting these together, you said, okay, I got my 5. I go, Pat, all right, where's Valerie Vogel? And you went, I just started scratching stuff out because you forgot about
Literally
her.
happened yesterday. It asked me for my top 5, and I was all proud of it. And then you're like, oh, no Vogel. And I was like, gosh, you did it to me again. So I've got her first.
2 names that aren't on there, Sandra Pacelli and Becca Voigt.
Yeah, Pacelli, I just think, amazing athlete, but moving in the wrong direction. So 2013 at the Games, she was 4th, fantastic finish. Last year, she moved to 23rd, and just looking how the Open shook out for her, I don't think she's going to make it back to the Games this year. And then Becca Voigt absolutely breaks my heart. An incredible athlete. What an amazing history. 7 times at the Games, but I just think with the younger, more fired up competitors, eager to take a spot and just dedicate their entire day to training. She's just opened an affiliate, which is overwhelming. I just don't think she's going to get back this year. And I've never wanted to be wrong so much in my life.
Do you agree with that?
So I do agree with Pat's pick with Pacelli not making it. I competed with her in 2013, 2014. There's always been a lack of confidence when she competes. Seeing that she's not the same athlete in 2013 as she is now, I don't see her on that top 5 spot. I don't see her on that podium. In regards to Rebecca, though, she's a 7 times Games athlete, has amazing experience, great athlete, great skill set, and when it comes to that competition, when it comes to that regional weekend, she brings her best. She brings her A game. So I don't think you can count her out. I could see her on that top 5 spot.
Well,
I hope you're
Sorry.
right. I genuinely hope that you are right.
You are right. Thank you so much, Margaret, for coming by and helping us break down the women's side of things.
Appreciate it.
We're going to go over to Tommy Marquez right now to take a look at the women who could be a dark horse in this extremely, extremely competitive division.
Thanks, Sean. Here are my dark horse picks for what should be a crazy competitive California regional, starting with the women and Chelsea Grigsby, the athlete out of C Street CrossFit down in SoCal. She played softball for the Western Oregon University, and she finished 6th place at last year's SoCal Regional. This year in the Open, she finished 3rd in Southern California, ahead of the likes of Becca Voigt, Valerie Vogel, and Jamie Hagia. Now, she finished 1st overall in 15.3, and I really think she has the opportunity, similar to Jamie Hagia last year, to have a breakout year at regionals. On the men's side, Dakota Rager is my dark horse pick, and he's out of CrossFit 808 out in Hawaii, and he finished 1st overall in NorCal in open workout 15.2 and 3rd worldwide. He was 7th place overall in NorCal at the end of the Open, and he's only 5'4", 170 pounds, so he may have a hard time hanging with some of the heavy hitters in the California Regional, but look out for him in regional event number 6 with those chest-to-bar pull-ups and strict handstand push-ups. He really has an opportunity to make some noise, guys.
Thanks, Tommy. Let's switch gears now and talk about that men's division where Dakota Rager will be competing. And once again, we seeded the athletes coming in based on their Open finishes. And Josh Bridges sits atop those rankings, just 1 point over Rasmus Weisbeck-Anderson. And then Bridges' training partner, Dan Bailey, he's 2 points up on Kenneth Leverich. And Dakota Rager, who Tommy just talked about, sits in 10th. One name that we don't see there is Jason Kalipa because he, as we all know, is going team.
Quitter.
He would be he would be considered NorCal's best hope. Who's next in line there?
Neal Maddux, beyond a shadow of a doubt. Neal Maddux is an absolute animal. He is the fittest person in the world that's never stood on the podium at the CrossFit Games. He just hasn't quite accomplished that yet. 5 times Games athlete. Best finish was 9th back in 2013. The last 3 years, he's taken 2nd at regionals to Kalipa each one of those years. And this year, he's 2nd in the Open in NorCal to Kalipa. So now with Kalipa gone, it's a great time to be Neal Maddux.
And like the women's side of the California Regional, it seems like all the favorites on the men's side are from Southern California.
They are absolutely stacked down there. We'll dive into 3 right now, starting with crowd favorite, Dan Bailey. Now, Dan Bailey has been to the Games 4 times, and he's never finished outside of the top 10. Incredible consistency. He took 3rd at regionals last year. He made it a bit more dramatic than he should have. Rasmus Anderson, now he walked into the European regionals in 2013 with very little training, took 13th. Now he's living in California, and I think he's got a great year ahead of him. Josh Bridges, 3 times Games athlete. In his rookie debut back in 2011, he took 2nd place, and last year he was 4th at the Games, and he is fired up as usual.
Let's go into another segment now of Pat upsets everybody
Yeah,
and
love
loses
it.
friends and makes enemies. Top 5 for the California Regional on the men's side.
Okay, here we go. Let's dive right in. In 5th place, Neal Maddux. With Khalipa gone, this 5 times Games athlete, I think, is poised very well to make it back for a 6th time. And he's just, the guy's a physical specimen. Then sitting in 4th, Kenny Leverage. 1st place last year at regionals. He's been to the Games 3 times. They took 14th in the Open worldwide this year. In 3rd, Dan Bailey. Never outside the top 10, 4 times Games athlete, gets to train with Josh Bridges, so he's got a great environment every day to throw down. 2nd, Rasmus Anderson, kind of the boy wonder. In his rookie debut, he went team last year with Invictus. They were the champs, and I think his individual season is going to be spectacular as well. 1st place, I think Josh Bridges. All he needs to do is survive the snatch, so that he won't put up loadings kind of where his peers will, but in all the other workouts where you need to move blazing fast, endure incredible amounts of agony, that's what Josh Bridges does.
Let's move over to the team side of the house, and this is where one of those 3 super teams we've been talking a lot about resides, and that is Norcal CrossFit. Once again, the seeding's coming in based on open finishes. Norcal ahead of the defending champs Invictus, and then in 3rd, it's CrossFit 808. Invictus has been flying under the radar a little bit recently. They had an injury to one of their women. Heather Hippensteel had a freak accident with a knife while she was slicing an avocado. It got into her hand, cut some nerves. She might need surgery, but we talked to CJ Martin yesterday via Skype, and he said that Heather's gonna go.
Heather, last Thursday, was de-pitting an avocado. And the knife sliced right through the skin and well into her finger, a pretty deep cut into her middle finger on her left hand. We thought, okay, she has a cut, no big deal. She went to the emergency room and they said she had sliced nerves and that they were recommending surgery immediately. So she's seen several specialists now. The specialists still think she might need surgery. But as of very late last night, she called and said, you know what, I'll get surgery on Monday. We've got a cup to defend, and she's willing to endure whatever pain the exposed nerve is going to present to her.
Mentioned it briefly before, but Invictus is the defending champs. But yet they're under the radar here.
Well, that's what happens, so NorCal's getting a lot of hype, but you better not forget about Invictus. They're a phenomenal affiliate. They're well coached by CJ Martin. They've got a stable of top-level athletes. They're your champions from the Games in 2014. And 2013, they took 7th place. 2012, they took 4th. So the last 3 years, all top 10 finishes to include a championship. So if anyone's kind of counting them out just because NorCal's getting a lot of hype, man, that's a big mistake.
Yeah, and the reason that NorCal's getting a lot of hype is because not only did they do well last year, but now they've added a couple athletes, and most notably Jason Khalipa.
That's never going to hurt. So Jason Khalipa, 7 times individual athlete, former champion. NorCal is the real deal, and a lot of people expect them to run away with it, but Invictus is not going to make it easy. Now, last year was the Norcal CrossFit rookie debut, so to speak, and they took 5th. Incredible. This year, they've got an extra year of experience under the belt. Add Khalipa and also add Molly Vollmer, who didn't get to compete last year due to an injury. She's an absolute animal, and that's why they're poised so well.
Yeah, 5th place at the Games last year, and had it not been maybe for a couple of events, they could have very well easily been on the podium. That's going to do it for us. Wall-to-wall live coverage from the California Regional starts Friday. It's on games.crossfit.com. We will also have the Pacific and the East Regional for you, so you know what you're doing this weekend. We want to thank Margaux Alvarez for stopping by and helping us out. For Tommy Marquez and Pat Sherwood, I'm Sean Woodland. You're not going to want to miss any of the regional action this weekend.